and welcome to episode 75 of the Little Drops of Wonderful Knitting and Crochet podcast. This is my place on YouTube to talk about all things that I love, which is knitting, crochet, amigurumi, books at the end a bit, crafty stuff and all of that lovely stuff. It has been a couple of months since I last filmed, which, considering I usually film about every 2 weeks, has been quite a lapse, and I will explain why in just a second. But first I'll just get the admin-y bits out of the way. So first of all, my name is Ali. I live in Kent in the very southeast of the UK with my husband and our 2 children, who are currently both back at school after the Easter holidays and obviously after the very long 3rd lockdown here in the UK. So I've got a bit of time. It's Thursday today. I've got a bit of time in my week to finally sit down and podcast. You can find all of the information about the things I talk about, patterns, yarn and so on, in the description box underneath, where I do quite detailed show notes. Try to include as many links as possible. And there are also timestamps underneath in case you need to jump backwards or forwards to find anything in particular. And you can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry as Starry Eyes Ali, and I'm also on Etsy, Drops of Wonderful. It's all linked underneath, so I don't really need to list all this, do I? And I also vlog frequently, at least once a week. There's a new vloggy video from me over on my other channel, which is This Little Wonderful Life. So I think that is all, life at the end there, got a bit perky. I think that's all the admin-y stuff. I will just explain very briefly my extended absence, and then we'll get stuck straight into all the crafty stuff. We're going to have a little chat about some finished objects. I've got more than I expected because it's taken me so long to get around to filming that some of my whips have become finished objects. I'm only going to talk about, I think, one or two works in progress. I'm going to talk about the Ami Along that we had running up until the end of March, which I kind of extended. In fact, the thread is still open, but I'll get onto that later. And I'm going to tell you I've drawn 3 winners from that. Possibly the most fun I've ever had in an along. That's not fair to the Strictly Sock Along, because that is the most wonderful time of the year. Anyway, I'm jabbering on already and we haven't even got started. I'm going to bring you news of the next make-along, which is the Dodgy Bag MAL, which is back for its 4th year, 3rd or 4th year, which I run with Claudia of Crochet Luna. And finally, I've got a little bit of news and things to catch you up on. I'm not going to do incoming unless I happen to find something in the mess that surrounds me and decide to show you. Because I want to, so basically I haven't been around because I have been hit over the head by the overwhelm monster. In that I was doing a month worth of daily vlogs over on my other channel, This Little Wonderful Life. So that took up a lot of my filming and editing time. And at the same time, we have been renovating our bedroom, which has been a mammoth job. We basically stripped it right back to nothing. The plasterer came in and sorted it out. We had to do electrics, we've had to do woodwork, we've ripped a ton of wardrobes out and we're getting new ones put in. This time next week, this room will be full of workmen putting in wardrobes. And it has just been incredibly overwhelming. And I just haven't had a second or a space in which to podcast. So if you watch regularly, you will know that this is not my regular podcasting area. I'm in front of the door of our bedroom because I will show you what our bedroom looks like. Hold on. So as you can see, it is, it's painted. I'm really thrilled about that. There's still some touching up to do, but there's just stuff everywhere and I can't film in front of a completely blank wall because my autofocus will just be all over the place. It doesn't like it when it's just a blank wall behind me. So I thought I'd just do it in front of the bedroom door. So that's it, nothing exciting really. I've just been too overwhelmed and too lacking in time to film anything, but I am back. And hopefully this is the beginning of me being back every 2 weeks, if you're interested. So shall we get stuck straight in, she says. I've already been talking for about 5 minutes, to finished objects. I have a couple behind me and a couple down here. So I want to show you the things that I made for my eldest daughter Lilia's 15th birthday, which was at the very end of March, and in fact that formed part of March vlogs. So if you were watching March vlogs, you would have already seen these things, but I want to tell you all about the pattern and all of the details. Yorkshire tea, I really needed that. I had a really long walk to the post office and back this morning. It's a very sunny day, so it was a very nice walk, and I feel very virtuous for having done it. So the first thing I want to show you is, so every year on their birthdays, on my girls' birthdays, they always request something handmade, but Lilia got two things this year because I didn't make her anything last year, because I stupidly thought, I think I made her a pair of socks, but she was like, why don't I have an amigurumi? So clearly she has not grown out of that yet, so she got two this year. The first one is this little guy. He is a jester. I'm so pleased with him. He was so fun to make as well. Here he is. Here's our little jester friend. So he's got little curls, he's got a little detail on his belt there, he's got his little collar, his tiny little arms, and he's got his little jester's crown. And he is so cute. And the pattern is from a book of just all cute things. It is Mini Kingdom, Crochet 36 Tiny Amigurumi Royals. It's by Olka Novitska, and it's published by Meteor Books, and they actually sent me this some time ago, and they've sent me a few of their books because they know how much I love them, because I already own most of their books, because I absolutely love their style and their amigurumi, and I've made an awful lot. So this was a freebie. Don't have to say anything good about it, but I'm gonna, because I absolutely love this. I can't wait to make more. The girls have got a long list of things they want me to make. So there's 36 little people and critters that you can make. There you go. They're all beautifully laid out at the front, so you get a really good idea of everything you want to just get stuck into. And the one I made was on page 70, and it's just called Joker. Oh, Joker. I'm calling him Little Jester. And he was so easy to make. I used, what did I use? A combination of cottons. So for the skin colour, I used Scheepjes Cantona. It's not actually this colour, I don't think. I used a slightly darker one, but that is the correct brand. There you go, Cantona. It is fingering weight, 100% cotton. And I made him with a 2.5mm hook because I wanted him, I think that's actually the hook recommended in the pattern. But also I like to use a hook that's really small for amigurumi to keep my stitches tight. 2mm hook. So actually, yeah, I would have used a 2mm hook to make it. So 2mm hook and fingering weight yarn to make my little Joker Jester. And the coloured yarn that isn't the flesh tones is also Scheepjes Cantona, but I got them in these tiny little mini, like 25-gram balls. So yeah, I was really, really pleased with all these colours. When I went onto the Wool Warehouse website, what I do is I add the colours that I think I want into my basket. And I go to my basket and I can see all the little screenshots of the colours all together, and then I can assess whether, yeah, that's the right red or not quite the right red or whatever. And that's how I sort of work out when I'm shopping online. So that's my first finished object. It was all living in my bag. This beautiful Highland Coo bag, which is by Julie. That's so unique. And I've got one of her Highland Coo badges, which her daughter Adele designs. And Adele has got her own Etsy shop actually, and it's called Adele's Art. Oh, I bought something. Where is it? See, I told you I'd end up showing you some incoming things. I saw this on Instagram. I don't go on Instagram a lot, but recently, but I've started to kind of just go on there a bit more the last couple of weeks and start just having a little, very quick 5-minute scroll through. And I saw this pop up on her Instagram, and I had to buy it. She does these, so she's and she does illustration and her own little characters and things, but she's also done this beautiful drawing of Jack the Pumpkin King and Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas. There we go. And I had to get it. It's actually a print on a wooden background, so that's all on wood, and then you've got a normal pin back on the back. And the reason that this really appealed to me is that when Dan and I, my husband Dan and I got married, we had a bit of the song that they sing at the end of this film, because I absolutely love it. I love The Nightmare Before Christmas, on our orders of service. My darling friend, if you don't mind, I'd like to join you by your side and sit together now and forever, for it's as plain as anyone can see. We're simply meant to be. Don't sing on the podcast every time. Every time I end up singing. And she sent me this gorgeous little extra. Isn't that cute? I'm going to put that on one of my project bags, or I know Phoebe and Lily have both got their eye on it as well. But I'd like to keep something occasionally and not end up getting it stolen by one of my children. Yes, I was really pleased with that. So that's Adele's Art. I should probably show you her card. Yeah, she's Adele's Art Shop on Etsy. And that was a little treat. It was a little birthday treat. It was my birthday on Monday just gone. So that was a little treat to myself. And what I'm thinking is I might put that on one of my sort of Halloween-y bags and maybe have a little Nightmare Before Christmas themed project coming up towards autumn, because I love autumn and winter. They are my favourite times of year. Spring and summer, not so much. In fact, summer, definitely not. So I'm struggling a bit right now as we go through spring into summer. So little things like that make me happy. My next finished object is this guy here. Now, you actually did see him in the last episode, but he had his ends on show. But his ends are now all woven in, so I thought I'd just show you. He is Brad the Brachiosaurus. He is the other little creature that Lilia wanted, which I made for her birthday. He was so fun to make. It's from another book. Oh no! Oh no! We have a arm crisis, an arm dismemberment. Look, it's coming off. How did that happen? How did she manage that? That was my shoddy workmanship, which I have another example of to show you in a minute, actually. Anyway, I shall have to do a little bit of surgery on Brad, but it's a wonderful pattern. I haven't got the book here because a lot of my stuff is all packed away, including all of my craft books, apart from that one, because it was in use, and I'd finished this before we emptied out the bedroom. But it's called Dinosaurs, Mammoths and More Prehistoric Amigurumi, or something like that. It's also published by Meteor Books, and I've made quite a few things from that particular one. But I love Brad, and because he's got this tail that's like, it's all attached as part of his body, he stands up really well on his own. So he can sort of just stand in the background and keep an eye on me whilst I do my podcasting. So Brad was made with worsted weight yarn, and I can't remember what size hook I used, but I think it was a 3.5mm hook for the worsted weight yarn, and it was just cotton that I had in stash. I don't even have ball bands for it, so I don't even know what it is, but it's just some kind of cotton. I would imagine probably something like Drops or Rico, because that tends to be what's available. Okay, next to Brad, you may have noticed a very regal looking creature. And this is the latest pattern from, well, not the latest pattern, but the new Octo pattern from Rel, who is the dabbling hook. Now, I have made her original Octo, but I made a Halloween version, completely copying her idea of making it look like a little Octo pumpkin. So it's packed away with the Halloween decorations. But I do have an original one that Rel herself made, because she made one each for each of my girls. So I'm going to go and see if I can kidnap one to show you for comparison, and then I'll tell you a bit more about this guy. Okay, I've just went and retrieved the one from Lilia's room. She's got a little flower on her. So this is the original dabbling hook Octo pattern. There she is. Isn't she cute? So Rel made this, and the idea behind the Octo patterns, oh, I'm out of breath after running up to Lilia's room and back, is they're no sew. So you make the Octo body, and then you attach to make the legs, and then you make them all as part of the body without having to sew them on. Obviously you have to sew the features or any little embellishments that you want to do, but they're so simple and easy to make. And Rel makes them on all different kind of themes. Like I say, I copied her Octo pumpkin one, but she's made like a Franken Octo and different themed ones, and they're so sweet. And she's done an updated version, which has got an elongated head, and also the tentacles are kind of, they've got that kind of, they look like little suckers. You can see they're not just bobbles, they look like actual little sucky tentacle ends. They're so cute. So I just made it plain. I haven't done any embellishments. I was going to, but then I instead decided to make him a crown. For reasons I can't quite remember. I think I just thought he looked quite regal. And I thought, oh, I'll make him a crown. So I just made this up, a little octo crown. And then once he had his crown, I thought, well, he doesn't need any more embellishment. Once you've got a crown, what more do you need? So now he is King Octo. So a new pattern, so this is the TDH Octo pattern, and this is the TDH Octo 2 pattern. They're both paid for patterns, but they're really, really low priced and affordable. There's a little button on the bottom. Rel has a podcast. She's the Dabbling Hook on YouTube. And an Etsy shop, and she's on Ravelry. She has all kinds of beautiful crochet and knitting designs. She has lovely hat patterns, and yeah, and like I say, I'm a big fan of the Octo. And actually I'm going to, the Octo pattern is going to be one of the prizes for the Ami Along, which we'll get to in a bit. Right, do I want to say anything else about Octos other than that I love them? Let's put them up here, and they too can keep an eye. I want to make more of these. I've got a lovely big box of cotton yarn downstairs that was sent to me as a lovely passing on of yarn that somebody wasn't going to use. So they would be perfect for making a whole little family. Maybe I can make a Queen Octo and a Prince and a Princess Octo. a whole royal family. Okay, oh no, I've got two more finished objects, because one of them I wasn't expecting to be a finished object. So let's show you the one I did know was a finished object. And if you watch my March vlogs, you will have already seen this, because when I cleared out all the wardrobes so we could dismantle them, there were quite a few things that I pulled out where I was just like, for goodness sake, every time I have to do anything, move house or, you know, decorate, I have to pull these things out. I've got to finish them. I've got to do something with them. And one of them was a bunch of hexagons that I had started to make with some yarn, and I didn't even know what the yarn was. It was a gift from my husband's mum's mother-in-law. Okay, she had a load of old yarn. She said, oh yeah, just take it. And I think the pink is cotton and the beige I think is acrylic. An acrylic. I did do a little test during March vlogs where I was burning it to try and ascertain whether it was acrylic or a natural fibre, and it was inconclusive. I think that says more about me as a person doing a science experiment than the science itself. But anyway, I couldn't work it out. And I knew I wasn't going to make any more of these hexagons. I don't know what my past self's intention was all those years ago when I started making them. But I managed to sew them together exactly so that they formed a cow. Here is the cow. So I managed to, I don't know how I worked it out, but I managed to do it. So I got 2 rows of hexagons all connected together, and they formed the perfect join. So I didn't have any left over. It took a bit of working out, but I managed it, and I sewed them all together just on the back side with a whip stitch. And then of course it was all jaggedy where you have the hexagons, you have this little gap there in between them. So I filled that in. I wish I could remember what I actually did. So let's have a look at it. I filled it in by going around with double crochets, half double crochets, this is US terms, which is what I think in, and treble crochets in the dip, so that I got a roughly kind of straight line going around to just level it off. And then I did a couple more rows of just, I think it was half double crochets front and back post to make a little sort of ribbed effect and kind of level it off a bit. It's not perfect, and you know, if I was a designer doing it as a pattern, it would take a bit more work to get it to do it right. A couple of people said I should try and write it as a pattern, but that seems a little daunting when I've got the overwhelmed monster sitting on my shoulder. Anyway, here's what it looks like on. I'm rather pleased with it. I wanted it to be quite snug because I don't like it when things drape all the way down here, because that seems a bit pointless. So I do like it to be a bit snug, but I didn't have any option really, because I was working with the hexagons that I had. So this is my finished hexy cow. I actually really like it. I like that it's got that really bright pop of pink against the really sort of nice muted beige, which is very similar colour to what we painted our walls actually. And I've just realised I positioned the camera and exactly, I thought that I'd done it so you can't see that the light switch is falling off the wall. That's because Dan had to do a bit of filling before we can screw it back on. And we have to sand it down and paint it before we can screw it back on. This is my life at the moment. Light switches falling off and my clothes on a rail and ladders in my bedroom. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to autumn as always, so I can wear this. And if you like it, let me know, because if I can attempt to instill in myself the confidence and the, you know, have the audacity to think that I might be able to put together a pattern of this kind, I will try. I'll probably do it as a free pattern, just because it'll be good practice. So if you'd be interested in a little hexy cow, unless, you know, I'd have to do a bit of research. What if something like this already exists? That's the other thing, isn't it? If you want to sort of put something out there and go, oh, look what I've designed. What if it already exists and you're not? It's like the time I invented the portable blackout blind. Have I ever told you about that? I once had this fabulous idea when Lilia was a baby that what would be a great invention would be the portable blackout blind. I was ready to go on Dragon's Den and everything. I was like, this is it, my fortune. I went and Googled it and there was already about 6 different versions available. So they'd invented it before I invented it. Where was I going with that? I'm not entirely sure, but that is my little hexy cow. And there's not much else to say about that because I can't tell you what the yarn is because I don't know. My next finished object was originally on my show notes, because I wrote my show notes a couple of weeks ago thinking I was going to film it and then just never had the time or space to do it. So it was originally a work in progress. In some respects it is still a work in progress, very much like my fringe. I get my hair cut, not next week, but the week after. There was quite a long waiting list after that third lockdown. Anyway, this is my multiplication blanket. I have quite a lot to say about this. It has been living for at least 6 years, in this Kidston bag as stacks and stacks of granny squares. And this is a granny square, again, which I invented. I can't believe I just used the air quotes. So this is my invented granny square, which I call the multiplication square, because to me, it looks like a multiplication sign. Although other people have pointed out, it does also look a bit like the Maltese cross, which I agree it does, but I'm still calling them the multiplication squares. Here's what the blanket looks like. I'm going to have to put probably it's about single bed size, so I'm not going to be able to show you properly. So I will put a picture on the screen of it draped on my mum's sofa as well. And it is on my Ravelry. So here it is. I shall keep moving it up and side to side. This is the blanket. So when I started making it, I had very, very different tastes, a very different crochet style, and very different ability. I was still quite a new crocheter back then. So I'd made up this square, which is, let's find a good one to show you. So here's the yellow one. It is, you do 2 rounds and then you change colour to white, and on that 3rd round you do a spike stitch, if you can see, in all of the side stitches. So you go back down to that 1st round and pick up a stitch. And then you do 2 rows of single crochet to finish, and that is your multiplication square. I did a tutorial for this. In fact, I set up a blog almost entirely for the purpose of doing this tutorial. And when I went to pick this up again and finish it, because I was just fed up of pulling that bag out of wardrobes, and it like just this project just kept going and going and going, and there was no end to it, and I was never working on it. And I thought, right, that's it. I'm going to do it. So I did. I spent many times making squares whilst Phoebe was homeschooling, and then in the evening I'd be working out how many I would need to finish the blanket and just get it done. And I did it. And I put in some effort, and then I think right at the beginning of the Easter holidays. When was it? Yeah, I think it might have even been Good Friday. I laid it all out on the floor and I spent all day, I kept saying to everyone, don't stand on the squares, don't stand on the blanket. And every time I got a chance to have a cup of tea or sit down or people were watching telly, I would go and sit down and I would single crochet my rows together. Oh look, I've just got the perfect example here to show you something I want to show you. So here's what it looks like. This is the front of the blanket because I really like how it looks when you crochet squares together with a single crochet and you get that ridge. I think that's really, really lovely. But equally, it does look good on the other side as well. It gives a very plain finish like that. And Phoebe has it. Phoebe has adopted this blanket. She absolutely loves it. It has been permanently on her bed since it was finished. And sometimes she has it this way up and sometimes she has it the other way up. So there were a few problems. So what I did, so first of all, I crocheted them all together and I think it's 11 squares. No, hang on, it's quite big. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 squares by 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 squares by 14, so there's 140 squares in this all together. And then after I'd finished sewing them all together, I went round, I think, 3 times just with single crochet as the border, and I did that all over the Easter weekend, and by Easter Monday it was finished. So that was a really, really good feeling, and it's good that it was finished sort of on a celebratory time as we were coming out of lockdown. We were at my mum's house, we were having a lovely Easter, and it will always remind me of that. So I'm really, really pleased. But almost straight away a problem started to arise. Now I'm going to find that bit that I just spotted and show you. So like I say, when I was crocheting this, when I first started crocheting them, I made loads of these little 2 round squares out of lots of different colours of acrylic yarn. This is all acrylic, and that's how I was doing it. But I was a new crocheter and clearly my methods of weaving and cutting ends were severely lacking, because since this blanket has been finished, I've already had to mend about 10 or 15 times this problem. Can you see? I haven't weaved in the ends. I've obviously just cut the end and left it and not weaved it in or tied it in any way. So the hole is coming undone in the middle of the square. It's relatively easy to fix. What I do is I go in with another bit of yarn, and I can use a darning needle to go through each of the loops that no longer have anything to grip onto where the yarn has unravelled, and pull it tight, tie it a few times, weave in those ends. But I've just spotted this one. I mended 5 of these yesterday and I'd already mended at least 8 or 9 before. And every time I curse my past self, like, why didn't you do this properly? So I think by the end, I'll probably have mended nearly all of them, because I clearly was not experienced enough to think about tying it up and weaving in the ends correctly. It's just so annoying. Anyway, I've spotted that now, so I'm going to fold it up and put it to one side, and I shall mend that after I finish talking to you. But the best thing is that Phoebe has fallen in love with it, and it's going to be used for many, many years to come. She absolutely loves it. It's what she drags down to the sofa on a Saturday morning, or on a Sunday morning to watch TV, and it's what she puts on her bed at night. So it's really, really nice. And it looks nice, even though my tastes have changed. It really looks nice. It's not too girly, and I think that's why she likes it. It's all DK acrylic yarn, and I used a 5mm hook, was it? Actually, I think it was probably a 4mm hook, looking at my tension. So yeah, I think it was a 4mm hook, DK yarn. And like I say, I did do a tutorial for it, which I will link underneath, but it's incorrect. I went back to refer to the tutorial. I think I started talking about this about 10 minutes ago and never finished. And I realised there are errors in it, there are mistakes. Again, my past self, clearly not as good as proofreading as my present self, I like to think. So I need to go back in there and make some edits. And what I'd really like to do is a video tutorial. I'd like to do a video tutorial for how to do those granny squares and how to put them together. So that's the multiplication blanket. My next work in progress is something that I have been enjoying so much and hadn't expected to even be talking about at this stage, and it has been an absolute joy. It is living in my bag, which was a very lovely gift a couple of years ago from Donna, who has the Inner Pickle Knitting podcast, and she's a very, very talented sewer. There's her little tag there. Inner Pickle Knitting, and it's a hydrangea themed bag because I just love hydrangeas. They make me think of my childhood, and there's this beautiful little tag here. And she sent me this bag at a very difficult time. My dad had been very ill and subsequently died of brain cancer, and yeah, this is a very, very special bag, and it's housing a very special project because this project has got me through quite a lot in the last few weeks. So it's been the Easter holidays, and every morning I've made a point of getting up early so I can sit with Dan before the girls get up and before he starts work, and we sit and we watch rubbish television on really low volume. We've been watching Alaskan Homestead Rescue. And I knit on this. I have been knitting on this in the holidays. And I've been very anxious, and I've been exploring a lot about where my anxiety comes from and the triggers for it, and things in our life that we may need to address to, so that I don't have to live with this constant knot of anxiety all the time. And I've been exploring the reasons behind it. It's a lot to do with where we live. I'm not going to go into it because it's just depressing, and I want this to be a happy episode all about yarn and knitting and crochet and frivolous skipping around the hills of yarn rather than talking about anxiety on this occasion. So but as I've been knitting on this, there's been a lot of thought and feelings gone into it. And also the yarn is very special because it was one particular skein was, I think, one of the first skeins of hand dyed yarn I ever bought, and I picked it up at the very first yarn festival I ever went to, and I'm a bit obsessed with this colourway. I'm already considering buying more. So the colour is Mazakeen. Let me see if I've got the ball band. Hold on 1 second. I've got all three. Okay, so the colour is Mazakeen. It's by Third Vault Yarns. So this is Lola at Third Vault Yarns. You've probably heard me mention her before. I would say if I was to describe her sort of dyeing and style, it would be sort of geeky, game playing, like as in, she likes board games and other computer games and sort of geekery, basically. And this particular colour is on her companion base, which is 100% superwash merino, and it's named Mazakeen after a character that's in the series Lucifer, which Dan and I really, really enjoyed, and then we kind of fell out of watching. We've been talking recently saying we might go back to the beginning and watch Lucifer all the way from the start again. So she's a great character. She's a demon, and she's just like really like, yeah, she's everything that you would want to act like if like you could get away with it. So I bought this and I picked it up at my very first yarn festival, and then I decided I wanted some more, and I bought some at another yarn festival. But as Lola said to me, she dates all her yarn. So I had the original one I bought in 2016. 5 years I've had this yarn before I've actually put it into a project. And then the next one I bought just under a year later in 2017. And as she said at the time, they're completely different dye lots, and they will not be the same because I think she'd actually changed how she did it. So I've got the two Mazakeens, and I'll show you how they are different. And she only had one on this occasion as well. So this is the original Mazakeen. Oh my goodness, it is so beautiful. I don't know how, it's this beautiful kind of bronze colour with purples, and it's just gorgeous. And this is my silly camera keeps trying to focus on me rather than the yarn. The yarn is more important. So this is the second one here, and as you can see, it's still got that bronzy colour, but it's a less browny bronze, but it's still got all the purple tones, and it's got a sort of underlying greeny tone actually there. So you can see they are very different. And she only had one at the time. So I then bought another one, which was on not only a different colour, but on a different base. So this is on her Librarian Sock, which is a really lovely base. It's a 75% superwash blue face Leicester and 25% nylon. And this is it. This was a one-of-a-kind colourway, and she called it Coffee. There you go. So those are my 3 yarns, and this is Coffee. So it is very different, but it is complementary. Oh, now it's trying to focus on Brad. You see? So they're all different, but they all look good together. So I decided I wanted to make a cardigan with it. And I started to make originally the So Faded jumper for these 3 yarns. So Faded by Andrea Mowry. But I wasn't enjoying it. And it suddenly occurred to me, I probably wouldn't wear it much. So I suddenly thought, no, I'm going to make a cardigan with this yarn because I love it so much. I want to wear it. I don't want to make something that I know that really I'll just maybe wear to a yarn show or something. I want to, you know, and I get warm as well, especially if I'm at a yarn show. So I want to be able to take it off easily without like exposing my scarred tummy to everyone as I pull it off my head, and you know, my t-shirt gets caught up underneath and so on. God, I've got a whole scenario going on in my head there. So I thought, no, I'm going to make a cardigan. And I already had the pattern for the featherweight cardigan. Oh, what's her name? Knitbot she is, isn't she? Knitbot. Hannah Fettick. So the featherweight cardigan, there's no point in me showing you my copy of the pattern because it's black and white and it's scribbled on. But here's to give you an idea. It's the featherweight cardigan. And there are different options. You can adjust the length and the length of the arms. But it's a very simple cardigan. And it will have a very simple collar and band that runs around it, and you can add buttons if you want, but I'm not going to. It's just going to be something I shrug on over a vest. So I'd already bought yarn for this, some lovely red yarn, which I still intend to use probably for this cardigan, but no, I decided, I just had this kind of devil-may-care attitude. I was like, do you know what? Stop thinking about it, stop trying to get it perfect, pick up the yarn, get the needles, do a gauge swatch and start knitting and worry about it later. And that is what I did. So I just started knitting and striping the yarns, and it was worked out that I'm striping every 26 rows. Why it's every 26 rows, I can't tell you. It's just what felt right. And I was just like, I'm going with it. It has meant that I've had to think a lot about how my yarn management and how I'm using it. But here's how the stripes are looking. So this might be a bit of a Marmite cardigan. You might be looking at it and go, okay, 50 shades of brown. But I'm looking at it thinking, oh my goodness, I love it. I love it so much. So here's the original Mazikeen up here. Then we go into Coffee and then New Mazikeen, back to original Mazikeen, Coffee, and New Mazikeen and so on, and that is the order I'm following every 26 rows. So I've done the body right down and done my rib along the bottom. So I've started and ended in original Mazikeen. I've done one sleeve up to the point where I want to just see how I'm doing with my yarn management, and on the sleeve I've done the same. I've followed the every 26 row pattern, and I've got all my yarn markers in to show me so I can make sure that I'm doing the decreases on the other arm in exactly the same place. And I've stopped here because what I'd like to do is finish the arm. I want it to be just past the elbow on original Mazikeen if I can, but I wanted to just go and do the other side first to sort of work out how much yarn I'm going to have. I'm also aware that I still need to do the ribbing all the way around the collar and up the edges, so I need to make sure I know what I'm going to do yarn wise for that. So there is a bit of thinking and yarn management involved in striping it in this way, but it also makes the whole process so much more interesting than just knitting something in the same colour for rows and rows and rows, because I always know, you know, when you're striping something or making like scrappy socks, you're just finishing that section, you feel like you're making progress. But if you're just doing it all in one colour, it can feel like it lasts quite a lot longer. So it's been a joy, this cardigan, my Mazikeen cardigan, a total joy, and it fits me just as I wanted to. I probably, if I were to make it again, I might make it bigger because I'd quite like a baggy one as well, and it sits just below my hip. And what I can envisage me using it for is during the spring and summer, or late summer. I wear vests quite a lot, and it would look great just over a vest, and then in the cooler mornings or evenings, and then I can take it off in the heat of the day. And that's my intention. It would have been perfect for my birthday walk on the beach actually, but I can't knit that fast. So this has been a wonderful project, and there's been a lot of lovely sort of calm memories and introspective thoughts knit into it. And the yarn is so beautiful, and every time I go to a yarn show I say to Dan before I leave, I cannot come back with more Mazikeen yarn because it seems to be the thing I'm drawn to. But now that I've knit it, I'm quite, you know, entitled now to go to any yarn show or online shop and buy more Mazikeen yarn. If indeed she still does it, I don't know, haven't looked. I hope so. Do I want to say anything else about that? No. It's just, it's been a bit of an exercise in not overthinking, like, because I do think, oh, I can't make that because, oh, you know, but what about, and then I just thought, you know what, shut up, do the gauge swatch, do the gauge swatch. If it works, just start knitting and worry about it later. And that has been kind of a really nice bit of freedom and release in my crafting. That is the last work in progress I'm going to show you, but I just wanted to mention two things. I've made no progress on my Ziggy Interrupted wrap because I've got completely overwhelmed by the colour combinations. You have to do lots and lots of little squares, and I just can't get into my head the colour combinations at all, and I just, oh my goodness me, and I couldn't cope with it, so I've had to put it away, and I'll have to come back to it when I've got the mind to work it out. But if you've made a Ziggy Interrupted and you've chosen your colours, how did you did you just do it randomly where you're putting together the squares, you know, for the little squares, or did you follow the pattern? And if you did follow the pattern, how did you do that? How did you keep track? I couldn't, it just blew my little mind. But if you've got any tips, let me know in the comments. I also wanted to say that this, my skein of singular loveliness, which I quite often do as a little segment on my podcast where we look at one skein of yarn and decide what project would be good. I had so many suggestions that I've made a list on my Ravelry, which I will link underneath. And it's all, it's a bundle of one skein suggestions. So please do comment if you have any more fantastic ideas for one skein projects, and I can add them to that bundle because it's so fun to look through. But I'm pretty much sure that I want to make the springtime cowgirl pattern. I can't remember the name of the designer with this. I'm not sure yet. So I'm not going to put it into a ball or a cake just yet to start working it. But I'm pretty sure I've settled on the springtime cowgirl, which is kind of a cow and a shawl in one. So thank you to everyone who has suggested ideas for that. Keep them coming, and make sure you go and have a look at that bundle because it's got loads of inspiration in there. Let's move on to the next bit. I want to talk about the LDOW Ami Along. So LDOW, Little Drops of Wonderful, Ami Along, Ami being short for amigurumi. So back I think a couple of podcasts ago, I started an Ami Along for just a really fun sort of month or two making amigurumis. I opened one thread, there was a hashtag, I said I'll draw a couple of prizes, and it would run till the end of March. Now I've just left that thread open because honestly it is there are over 550 posts in there now. There is tons of inspiration for amigurumi. People are helping each other, people are chatting. It is the most fun and friendly group and thread to go and visit. So I'm just going to leave it open, and I'm going to have a little think about what I'm going to do, and just maybe we just leave that open and maybe just randomly draw a prize every quarter. Couldn't we? Because honestly, amigurumi is a huge passion of mine. I love it, and I could read through those posts and look at those pictures and get the inspiration forever. Whenever I get a moment, I've been sitting down and really trying to keep up with it and seeing everything everyone's making, and it's just been a joy. It's been such a happy thing that I think maybe I'll just leave that thread open and change it so we just do it all year. Because then we've got the opportunity to do things around like October for Halloween or Christmas or other festivals that you celebrate throughout the year. and maybe just say that we draw a prize every quarter. What do you reckon? Should we do that? The hashtag is on the screen now. So what I did was, because there were so many entries in the Ravelry thread, much more so than there was on the Instagram hashtag, I drew 2 winners from Ravelry and I drew 1 winner from Instagram, and I did it randomly using our electronic friend whose name begins with an A, which I won't say in case I set your one off. So I've got 3 prizes, so I shall tell you who the winners are, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the entries that we had, and I'm going to present to you, hopefully, because I haven't finished it yet, so hopefully by the time you see this, I will present to you the LDOW Ami Along class of 2021, class of 2021 quarter 1 in a hilarious montage to music. But first we'll draw the winners and then we'll get to that. So the first winner, I've got my post-it note here, I did this morning, the drawn at random was number 76, and it was our Minty. Ravelry can tell you who is the chattiest in the thread. Our Minty is #1 chattiest, and I've seen her in there helping people, chatting away about things, so I'm really pleased you won a prize, our Minty. You're in Canada and you have won, what have I written here? Oh yes, so you have won, okay, sorry, I lost the yarn. You have won a bag made by me. This is another discovery from emptying everything out in order to do the wardrobes. I found a load of unfinished bags. I used to make a lot of these. The girls have both got one. I've got a couple. My sister's got a couple. I used to make these bags that's out of an old woolen suit fabric. They're just tiny little tote bags. It's lined with organic cotton, which I'm not going to show you too closely because it's not lined terribly well with organic cotton. And then I would cut little motifs out of felt and hand stitch them on. So this one is a bunny, but I've also done a whale and a chicken and a pig and all kinds of other ones. And I thought this was quite in keeping with the fact that the LDOW Ami Along ran over Easter. So we've got the Easter bunny there, and I've got some beautiful yarn that was donated as prizes for the podcast from a lovely teacher here in the UK called Kate. So thank you, Kate. And I thought that this was kind of springy and Eastery as well. It's by Glendale Fibres and the colourway is Dining In. Could use that to make some beautiful socks or maybe a beautiful little amigurumi. So that's going to go in the bag and that's going to make its way to you in Canada. I think I already have your address, Minty. So unless you've moved, you don't need to get in touch with me. And congratulations, you're the first winner. And the second winner was Sarah Jo Makes, and that was our Instagram winner. But I also noted she was very chatty on Ravelry as well. She was up there in the top 15 or whatever it does. And I think you're in Nottingham, Sarah Jo. And you were the Instagram hashtag winner, and you have won. Oh, you've won a prize I don't have. It's absolutely amazing and very generous. It's from lovely Loma of the Rogan Camp Girls podcast. I've mentioned them before. They're based in the States in a place called Blue Earth, and she put together a little prize parcel. So I'll get in touch with Loma to get her to send that on to you. She's going to send it directly. Her Etsy shop is called Narwhal Creations, and I'll put a picture up now, but she's made a bag and there's a stitch marker and there's some yarn, red heart yarn cake and a narwhal pattern, and it's by Ned and Norman, I think. And I'll put some pictures up because she sent me some lovely, lovely pictures that I could include because obviously I don't have it here, and that is what you have won. So if you can get in touch with me via Ravelry or email, which is underneath, littledropsofwonderful@gmail.com, and give me your address, I can put you in touch with Loma and we can get that sent out to you. So well done. And the third winner was from Ravelry, and I drew number 358. Your username is Butters, but I don't know anything else about you other than that you're in Reading. And you have won, what have you won? Oh, right, you have won you have won a bag handmade by a lovely lady called Susan. She sent me a load of bags. And this is just lovely. I love this one. And it's nice and roomy, so perfect for a nice big amigurumi project. And then I had some yarn in here that was a part of that big box that I got from Gillian. Thank you so much, Gillian. It's just amazing. I look at it every few days. I just open it and look at it. But I took some out to include as part of the prize. So I'm going to put 4 of these Rico Creative Cotton yarns in with the bag. Beautiful bubblegum colours, because I thought any one of these colours would make a wonderful no, not LDOW, that's me, TDH Octo, one of Rel's patterns. So as part of your prize, I'm also going to send you on Ravelry the original dabbling hook Octo pattern, so you can make your own cute little Octo. And that is your prize. So if you can get in touch with me via the email underneath, littledropsofwonderful@gmail.com, or via Ravelry and give me your address, I can get that sent out to you. And also send you the pattern prize on Ravelry. So like I say, I'm going to leave that thread open, which I've kind of just decided as we've been talking. And yeah, so keep them coming. I've really loved seeing all your creations. We have had reversible octopuses, rather like this one. So my girls have both got one of these. Happy octopus, angry octopus, happy octopus. This is Princess Jellybean Sparkles. And this is Gerald, as named by Phoebe. But there's a couple of different crochet patterns for these that you can see on the thread. Go and have a look, and quite a few people have made those. We've had a temperature snake, which I've never seen. I've seen temperature blankets, but never a temperature snake. That was Jill. Our Minty has been making nudie branches. If you don't know what a nudie branch is, they're hilarious. Google nudie branch. And you will click on images. You will not be disappointed. They're sea slugs, basically, but they're fantastical. They don't look real. Angela made the most amazing daffodil, and I think she just made it up, and she put it in a vase, and it's even got like little roots underneath. It's got the roots and the bulb and the stem and the flowers. It's so beautiful. One of our participants, Laurie, is actually responsible for one of my birthday presents. And I've got to go and get my battery pack to charge my camera. So I'm going to go and get that birthday present in 1 second, because she made a couple of people from... I'll go and get the book. Hang on a minute. Okay. So Laurie made a couple of people from Crochet Iconic Women. It's by Carla Mitrani, and it's 15 women who changed the world. This is amazing, this book. I saw it from looking at the pictures on the Ami Along thread, and I asked for it for my birthday, and Dan got it for me. So she made Billie Holiday, and then I think she was making Audrey Hepburn as well. But you've got 15 characters here. You've got, I'm out of breath again, Amelia Earhart, Queen Elizabeth II, Jane Goodall, Audrey Hepburn, Billie Holiday, Cleopatra, Emmeline Pankhurst, Florence Nightingale, Greta Thunberg, Jane Austen, Malala Yousafzai, and I know I'm saying that wrong, Marie Curie, Rosa Parks, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and Serena Williams. And what's great about this book is each character has a little paragraph. It will say, like, for example, this is Billie Holiday. So it says, why Billie? Because she is one of the most influential jazz singers of all time. If you watch my vlogs, you know I absolutely love Billie Holiday. And many believe she set the standard for all singers who came afterwards. In spite of her difficult childhood and upbringing, her infinite resilience, plus her very expressive voice range and skill for improvisation, led her to perform with the biggest names in jazz. But no matter how successful and talented she was, in a time of segregation, she was constantly discriminated against whilst touring, yet she was not intimidated. On the contrary, her concern for the treatment of black people can be found in the lyrics of her hit song Strange Fruit, which she bravely performed at high personal cost. And there's a little paragraph like that about every single woman that's included in this book. And not only that, so you get a little bit of history and a little bit of background about why that they're included. And for, you know, I'm a mother of 2 girls, and they've been looking through this book too and deciding who they want me to make them. And that's so important. You know, we're talking about, you know, influential women in history. But you also get these little tips for every single pattern. So it will give you a little tip about where to change the yarn colour so you can't see it, how to fashion the clothing when you sew it on so it looks good, or tips on how to customize it. For example, for Serena Williams, it says, you know, she's known for never wearing the same outfit twice when she's playing tennis, so why not change it up? You don't have to make her in purple. You can give her bright green or blue, or, you know, whatever you want to do. So really fantastic book, and I can highly recommend it. And thank you to Laurie on the Ami Along for introducing me to it. There have been quite a few Baby Yodas, and there have been a lot of Bernie Sanders. Anyway, after all that digression and talking about iconic women that you can crochet, without further ado, no more blethering. It is time for the LDOW Ami Along Class of 2021 Quarter 1 montage.
I don't wanna stay here, no. Ain't gonna keep it low now. If you wanna go, let's go. Let's wrap it up and hit the road. I just got an awesome vibe, striking the winner post now. Liberty's on my mind. We've taken off, we've left the ground. You gotta understand that we get one chance, one chance. You will never regret the things that we'll do. 'Cause I wanna drive through the summer night. And when we are old and gray, we'll look back at this summer night. The summer night, the summer night. Sleeping in the back of a van, roaming in the wilderness. We'll never need a plan. We'll be alright, just you and I. Singing from the top of our lungs, dancing by the lakeside. Gonna do it while we're young. In a moment it will all be gone. You gotta understand that we get one chance, one chance. You will never regret the things that we'll do. 'Cause I wanna drive through the summer night. And when we are old and gray, we'll look back at this summer night. The summer night, the summer night. The summer night, the summer night. Someday we will look back, and our hearts will be whole again. I want to remember all that happened to us. 'Cause I wanna drive through the summer night. And when we are old and gray, we'll look back at this summer night. The summer night, the summer night. Oh yeah, the summer night, the summer night, oh the summer night.
So you think you were right? Bring it on, prove me wrong. Go put up a fight. The way I do will knock you down. You know there's an ocean between us. Don't cry about it. Don't cry about it. You want me to take you in my trust. Oh no, you know that ain't the way. Oh no, there's nothing new in this game. You got to give it up, give it up. Give it up, give it up. I'm wearing you out. Keep on keeping on every night. Way up in the clouds. it will knock you down. You know there's an ocean between us. Don't go cry about it. Don't go cry about it. You want me to take you in my trust. Oh no, you know that ain't the way. Oh no, there's nothing new in this game. You got to give it up, give it up. But you got to give it up, give it up. You got to give it up, give it up. No, 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 give it up, give it up.
Did you enjoy that? I hope so. I hope I've done it okay, because I haven't done it yet. I hope the future me has done a good job of that, and thank you to everyone for allowing me to show your pictures. Can you believe that we had a baby? Oh, I can't get over that. The first podcast baby, and the picture was shared with the permission of his mother. Okay, let's move on. I'm blethering too much. It's going to take me all day to edit this otherwise. I have news of another make-along. It is back. The Dodgy Bag MAL that I run with Claudia of Crochet Luna is back for its 3rd or 4th year. I can't quite remember which. The hashtag is Dodgy Bag MAL 2021. It's going to run from the 1st of May to the 5th of June. The only rule is make a bag. If it's handmade and it's a bag, it's in. I'm hosting the chatter thread this year. It's already set up. I set it up this morning, so there'll be a link underneath and you can go and get chatting about what you intend to make. And Claudia, I was going to just call her Crochet Luna. I could call her that. Crochet Luna is hosting the FO thread. So make sure that you post your FOs in her thread, and I will link that underneath when it's ready. And chat away in the chatter thread. I will draw a prize from the chatter thread and from the Instagram hashtag, and Claudia will draw a prize from the FO thread and the Instagram hashtag. Whew, I got through the admin-y bit. Remember, I have 2 tutorials on this channel about how to make a dodgy bag. They're called dodgy bags, by the way, because that's what I call all the bags that I make. Basically, anything I sew. Have I got any of my own dodgy bags? Well, you saw the one with the rabbit on. I'd call that a dodgy bag. But I don't actually have any of my own dodgy bags about to show you or demonstrate, because they're all packed away because of the bedroom decoration. But yeah, whenever I do some sewing, I usually call it a dodgy bag, and it kind of caught on. And then Claudia one year said to me, why don't we do a dodgy bag make-along? It would be fun. And we did, and it was a huge success, and we had a lot of fun doing it. So here we are, 3 years later, still doing it, or 4 years later. So I'll link the 2 tutorials that I have underneath. One is for a very simple zipped bag. One is for a very simple drawstring bag. And they're very detailed. I just talk you through how I do it. There is no sort of sophisticated techniques or anything like that. I haven't been taught to sew by anyone. I just make it up as I go along. So it is very kind of like, don't worry about it too much, just get stuck in kind of tutorials. So I'll link those underneath. And I want to show you one of the prizes that I'm going to give away at the end is a very not dodgy bag that I was sent as specifically as a prize. And it is from lovely Barbara, or Bob, I should say. She sent me one as well. I'll show you that in a minute. So she is Bags from the Bay on Etsy, but she's also Dragonfly Studios. So you've got this beautiful bag. Wow, look at that blue. Oh, I love it. She made this beautiful drawstring bag. It's not dodgy at all. And it is beautifully lined with just a really nice bright white, which is so important. It's got her little Bags from the Bay tag there. And this is her card. It's really pretty. Got a little Bag from the Bay illustration. And then that's her details there, if you want to look her up. And she also makes beaded stitch markers, and she's included some with this prize, and she makes them, and they're so intricate. So this is what you get with the bag. How beautiful. Doing a very good job of displaying those, but you get the idea. So that is going to be one of the prizes for the Dodgy Bag MAL. Oh, and I'll just show you what she sent for me as well, because yellow is my favourite colour. Look at this, so beautiful. Oh, I love it with the birds. That is a very springtime bag, isn't it, that one? Oh, so lovely. One of these days I want to do a video where I just show you all of my project bags, because I have a lot of project bags, and I'd love to just do a kind of, you know, a homage to the project bag. Maybe that'd be a good thing to do as part of the Dodgy Bag MAL, even though they're not dodgy, but like as inspiration for fabrics and or makers. Oh, I might have a think about that. That would be fun. And she also sent me my very own beaded yellow stitch marker, but also because I am obsessed with lobsters. Lobsters are a big running thing in our family between me and my husband. They feature heavily. So look at that. Isn't that incredible? Can't even imagine the amount of patience that goes into making something like that. So I've kept that all wrapped up so I could show you, and now I've shown you, I can use it. So I'll put the prize one away safely. And then the other prize I haven't decided on yet, but maybe I'll make a dodgy bag as part of the Dodgy Bag MAL, and then I could do that as a prize, couldn't I? But I don't want to overcommit myself. Like I say, that overwhelmed monster is creeping around, trying to be good and not feed it. So that's the Dodgy Bag MAL. Let me know if you're joining in the comments underneath, or drop me a message or tag me on Instagram and let me know, because it'd be really good to see lots of you joining in again this year. Really must do a badge or something. Claudia does all kinds of lovely badges that you can buy, for especially for the make-along. So I'll put a link to that underneath as well if they're available yet. Yeah, so let me know if you're joining in. I'm really excited for it to start. It's not that long, it's only like a week away, a week and a half I think by the time you watch this, so that's exciting. I'm not going to do incoming stuff like I said, apart from the stuff I've already shown you, but I've just looked down and I've seen one thing where I'm just like, I've got to show you this. I treated myself to another little present for my birthday, and it is fabulous. And I have decided we're getting our house, so we had our windows done a couple of years ago, and ever since then we've needed to paint the top half of our house because they had to replace some of the original pebbly dash stuff that we have on the front of our Edwardian terrace. And we've got the, we were going to get the house painted, but then COVID hit and they couldn't do it. Then the house painter got COVID and was really ill, so he had to have time to recover. Anyway, he's better now, I'm pleased to report, and the weather is turning, so we're going to get our house painted, and at last it will look lovely on the outside. I'm going to have some nice flowers outside, and hopefully it will look lovely and cottagey. And I want to be the house that has something creative hanging, a wreath hanging on the front door for all seasons. I've got it in my head. I want to be that person. I want to be that house on the street where people walk past and go, oh, look, they've got a new wreath for spring or Halloween or summer. I want to be that person. Whether or not I'll have the time to be that person, who knows? But I've got a starting point in that I have bought a book called Crocheted Wreaths and Garlands. It's a good start, isn't it? It is by Kate Eastwood, and it's 35 floral and festive designs to decorate your home all year round. So what I wanted was something to inspire me and give me a base for ideas and patterns. But I've got all kinds of ideas in my head already, but this is going to do just that. It's not just wreaths, but it's garlands as well. So for example, and she tells you how to do it and the materials you need. So here's like a pumpkin-y autumnal one. That's a wreath. You've got an Easter one. And let me find one of the, oh, I like the summer one with the strawberries. Look at that. I hope this is focusing because it seems to want to focus on me or Brad more than anything. Oh look, here's a lovely, that's an example there. That's one of the wreaths. Now that's obviously for a wedding, but you could use it for other things as well. So yeah, I really love this book. I spent a very happy half hour with a cup of tea looking through it, and there really is something for every season. Got a daisy one there, and there's bees on that, little bees. Yeah, there is something for everything. And there's a whole section dedicated to Christmas. And that's a really simple idea, isn't it? Just a mistletoe wreath with lights. I really like that. So that was a little treat for myself. I'm really loving it, and I'm definitely going to be using it to achieve my goal of becoming that house with the crochet wreaths. Watch this space, we'll see if it ever happens. I think we'll move on for now to "and finally," so that I can go and start editing this drivel together. I wanted to tell you that I have got some new things that are coming into my Etsy shop. So I've kind of become an accidental Etsy seller. I designed a pin a couple of years ago. Well, no, about a year and a half ago, I designed a pin. And you've been very, very welcoming to that design. It's always been very successful and sold really well. And I'm just so grateful that people like it. It's my Little Drops of Wonderful pin. So I'm playing with my fringe because it's just gone bonkers now, hasn't it? But I sold those pins on my Etsy shop, and Phoebe, my youngest daughter, she is 10, she has been watching and helping me with parceling up orders, and she really likes it, and she wanted to design her own pin. So she drew something, and then with the help of a graphic designer who tweaked it to get it into the right format so that we could get it exactly how we wanted it, Phoebe has got her own pin. And all I need to do is get them photographed and work out how we're going to package them, probably the same way I package my Little Drops of Wonderful pins, and they'll be ready to go. So if you watch the shop over the next few days, these pins will be in stock. Now, I've only got a very limited amount of them because we didn't know, I only ordered a small batch because we didn't know how they were going to come out. So I have got, I can't remember if I've got 50 of each of these or 100. Can't remember, but whatever I've got will be up for sale, and I'm going to order some more. So there are two versions, one of which is going to be very limited edition because I'm not going to order them again, and the other one is the one I'm going to place a bigger order for. So here's the one that is the final design. These are also going to be available in much cheaper badge form as well, as in just a very basic badge. We had to alter the colour a little bit to make it a lot more easy for the text to pop. So they'll be available as well as soon as we've got the colour right. But these will be in the shop first. So this is Phoebe's design. There we are. So it says, "Have happy adventures." The stars, I don't know if you can quite see, but the stars are glittery. I'm not sure if it's worth having the glitter, because I'm not sure how well you can see that they are glittery. But this is her badge. "Have happy adventures." It really doesn't want to focus because it's so shiny. She designed it in mind of our This Little Wonderful Life channel, because obviously we document all of our family adventures on that channel. So it's a kind of connected to that. Have happy adventures. Isn't that cute? It's so adorable. And the one that's going to be very limited edition is the raised version. The one I just showed you is completely smooth. This is the raised version. And although it comes out quite well on camera because it's not so shiny, in real life it's not quite as sharp and as good as the smooth one. So once these are gone, they're gone. So if you're interested in having the raised ones, you're going to have to be quick. But they're not in the shop as I'm talking to you. Now it doesn't want to focus on me at all. It's going, I want to focus on badges now. They're not in the shop as I'm talking to you because I need to do a little photograph and do all the listings. But as soon as that is done, they will be available to buy. And I really hope you like them. And what we're going to do is all of the, once we break even, because obviously I'm paying for it, I'm the money. I'm not the talent, I'm just the money. Once we break even, any money and profit after that will go into Phoebe's bank account. So, it's part of a kind of learning process for her about, supply and demand and profit and loss and accounting. Well, I hope it will be anyway. I've also got some postcards of my Little Drops of Wonderful design going into the shop. Again, I just need to get photos, and I've got envelopes ready that I'll be able to use to send those. Yeah. So I don't know how much they'll be. They'll probably be very low cost, I would imagine. And I'll probably do one for, I don't know, however much, and then 5 for, I don't know. I sound so professional, don't I? So that is the shop, news on the shop. Also, I just remembered that I was in a magazine. Crochet Today. No. Inside Crochet, sorry, got the wrong magazine straight away. I was tagged on something on Instagram yesterday. I was at work, I was back at work, in actual work, at the museum for the first time in ages. And I saw a tag, and I was tagged in a post by Inside Crochet, and I was like, why? And they said that they'd done an article about crochet people that people like. And I'm mentioned in it. So it says it's a whole lovely article about all different wonderful people in the crochet community who run cows and who proved really helpful during the pandemic, keeping people going, inspiring them. And there's some wonderful people that have done wonderful things. And then there's a whole bit about different crochet businesses. I can see the little box of crochet in here who I follow, and Coastal Crochet, and so many more that I absolutely love. There's plenty missing as well, but then I didn't obviously answer the call for action, otherwise I could have added some people as well. But that's when you don't spend enough time on Instagram, you miss these things. But here there's a little bit along down the side, and it says Inside Crochet readers also recommend, and then really small, look, sandwiched between Too Cute to Quit and So Hooky. Who's that? It's me! I couldn't believe it. Even if it had been half that size, I still would have been thrilled. So I rushed to Sainsbury's to see if I could get a copy, and Phoebe was with me, and I said, look, there's my name. And she shouted in the middle of Sainsbury's, oh my goodness, are you in a magazine? So loud, like half the shop sort of turned around like, I was like, shh, shut up. They'll think it's something impressive. So I was absolutely thrilled with that. I'm very good company in this article. Very good company indeed. Isn't that exciting? I haven't read it yet either. I'm going to have a nice bath tomorrow night, and I'm going to read Inside Crochet. I don't often buy crochet magazines anymore because, again, I find it overwhelming because I want to make everything. I don't have the time. Also, they're really expensive. It's like $6.99 for a magazine. How long have magazines been $6.99? Last time I bought one, they were about £3, I think. Maybe that's because I was getting it on subscription or something. Anyway, exciting. Yeah, and that's it. I'm continuing to vlog and share very regular videos over on This Little Wonderful Life. I will link that underneath, and thank you for joining me on March vlogs if you were there. I hope that this return to podcasting has been okay. Because I haven't done it in 2 months. I feel really out of practice. I feel a bit more relaxed now than I did at the beginning, so I hope I wasn't like at the beginning going like, hello and welcome to the Little Drops of Wonderful podcast. And I hope it wasn't too bad. If you're still here, then you must have enjoyed it. So thank you for being here as ever. I really appreciate that there were so many fabulous, wonderful podcasts talking about knitting and crochet out there, and if you come back here to spend a bit of time with me, I thoroughly appreciate it. And please do let me know if you've got any other wonderful people that you watch that I might enjoy, because I like watching them too. Shutting up now, and I'll see you in 2 weeks, not 2 months, I promise. See you soon. Bye.